May banggaan ngayong nagaganap mga sangkay pagdating po sa mga malalakas na bansa, lalong-lalo na po pagdating sa mga superpower, strong military ng mga bansang ito. Ito po ay walang iba kundi ang India at China. Ngayon mga sangkay, ang tanong dito, ang China kaya kakayanin ang puwersa ng India? Hello, magandang oras po sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan na nanonood ngayon. Lalong-lalo na po yung mga solid sangkay. Pag-usapan po natin itong mga sangkay, itong patungkol sa India at China. Kasi ngayon mga sangkay, may nagaganap po na banggaan ng dalawang to. Ito po ay mga higanting puwersang militar. Ang pagdating po sa global ranking, okay? Ang number 1, syempre, Amerika, pangalawa, Russia, pangatlo, China, pang-apat, India. So magkasunod lamang po, India at Russia. Magkatabing bansa, magkatunggali. Ngayon kasi mga sangkay, mayroon po silang malaking problema. Mukhang humahantong po sa mas malaking sigalot, parang Pilipinas at China. Ang problema mga sangkay, kasi itong India, hindi po ito katulad ng halimbawa ibang mga bansa na mahina po pagdating sa militar. Isa po ito sa may pinakamalakas na military or strongest military. Baga, nasa top 10 po ito or top 5 mga sangkay itong India. So talagang tatapatan ang China dito. Bago tayo magsimula, pakisubscribe po muna yung ating YouTube channel. Sa baba ng video na to, makikita nyo po mga sangkay yung subscribe button. Pindutin nyo lamang po yan. Tapos pindutin nyo rin po yung bell at kasama na rin po yung all. Sa mga nanonood po sa Facebook, i-follow nyo po ang ating Facebook page. So eto, tingnan po natin. China prepares for naval war against India. Yan po. Nagre-ready na po sila. Ang problema dito mga sangkay, napakalakas po ng India.
China is preparing for a sea war against India and America. Let me repeat that. China is preparing for a sea war against India and the US.
Ang problema pa dito na malaki, kasi kasama ng India ang Amerika. So, dalawang superpower ito ng mga bansa.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has already sounded the war bugle. He has met a delegation of the People's Liberation Army. Also, China's armed police force. He told the teams to start preparations.
So, nakaraan, sinabi na nga po ni President Xi na maganda na po sa digmaan ang China.
What kind exactly? The security teams have been told to build cyberspace defense systems. Additionally, improve the ability to maintain national security. The Chinese state broadcaster quoted Xi asking the Chinese armed forces to coordinate the preparations for maritime military conflicts, the protection of maritime rights and interests, and the developments of the maritime economy. Just look at the timing of this comment. There has been a flare-up in the South China Sea, one that the Philippines is calling the most serious yet. Okay,
natural mga sangkay, kasama po tayo dito sa usapin dahil nga po isa po tayo sa may banggaan laban po sa China.
The Chinese Coast Guard has been ramming its ships into Philippine vessels. There were 2 such incidents this week. First, a Chinese Coast Guard ship crashed into a Philippine Coast Guard ship.
Ito, Pilipinas, masyado po nilang inaapi, no? So pupunta tayo mamaya mga sangkay sa India.
Just an hour later, the Coast Guard ship attacked a Filipino supply vessel. The boat was blocked, harassed, and water cannoned. And then the
Yan po yung latest na update mga sangkay regarding dyan. Yung isa po sa mga barko ng Pilipinas na nasira po nitong China.
Chinese Coast Guard boat collided against it. We have the visuals for you. Let's play them now.
Yan po, makikita nyo mga sangkay. Pilipinas at China.
Do you see what China has been up to? It is escalating tensions, trying to trigger a war at sea.
Okay, tinitrigger daw po ng China na magkaroon ng isang digmaan sa karagatan.
All the while singing sermons of peace on land. Just yesterday, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi gave an unsolicited advice to other countries. Don't take sides in the South China Sea, he said. Here's a quote. We will not allow goodwill to be abused, nor will we tolerate the distortion of maritime law in the face of deliberate infringements. We will take justified actions to defend our rights in accordance with the law. In the face of unwarranted provocations, we will respond with prompt and legitimate countermeasures. We also advise certain countries outside the region not to stir up trouble, take sides.
We also advise, ito po yung advice ng ni Wang Yi, Foreign Minister ng China. We also advise certain countries outside the region not to stir up trouble, take sides and become disruptors. And eto mga sangkay, kumaga nag-advise na po na huwag kayong huwag kayong mangingialam dito. Amin problema lang po ito namin. So ayaw niyong humantong sa mas malaking problema. Parang ganun po mga sangkay. Ganyan po talaga kaangas itong mga opisyal ng Chinese, no? Mga Chinese officials pagdating po sa West Philippine Sea.
And become disruptors and instigators in the South China Sea. Which countries do you think China is referring to? The United States and India.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Ang pinagsasabihan po dito, ang Amerika at India.
go one by one now. Like we have been telling you, the US and the Philippines have a defense agreement. So if one country is attacked, the other one must come to its aid. So far, the Philippines President, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., or Bongbong Marcos as he's called, has insisted that the time has not yet come to invoke the clause of the Security Pact.
Grabe, no? Binabalita na po tayo sa ibang bansa o sa mga international media. Kaya nga lang, ang naka-highlight, lagi po itong problema sa West Philippine Sea na posible nga daw pong pagmulan sa isang katakot-takot na digmaan na paparating.
But what happens now that she has sounded the war bugles and insisted on starting preparation for war? Marcos is already calling Chinese conduct alarmist. Let me quote him. I think that we cannot view this in any way but in the most serious way, he says. How long before Marcos requests the US for help? China is already preparing for that eventuality.
Okay.
Also, for a possible confrontation with India. Beijing has already laid the foundation for a possible outpost in the Indian backyard.
Ngayon nga mga sangkay, di ba, yung India, isa po sa sumusuporta, mga sangkay, pagdating po sa pagpapalago ng sandatahan ng Pilipinas. Kumbaga, isa rin po ito sa mga rason ng China, mga sangkay, na maliban po kasi na malakas ang India, isa po ang India sa pumapatol sa China. Kung tayo mga sangkay, hindi po natin magawa na kung pag may ginagawa ang China, ang ginagawa lamang po natin ay umiwas na umiwas. Ang India po hindi ganun. Sa border nila, mga sangkay, pumapalag ang India. Ngayon nga mga sangkay, nag-send po ng nasa 10,000 military ang India sa border nila ng both India and China. Talagang inaangasan din po ng India itong mga Chinese.
If you're thinking the Maldives, then you're on the correct path. Earlier this week, China signed a security agreement with the Maldives. The contents are a secret. The deal was signed a day before India commissioned the INS Jatayu in Minicoy, just some 100-odd kilometers from the Maldives. India is expanding its navy, equipping it with modern machines, commissioning new bases, jetties.
Okay. So, nag-expand yung naval bases nitong India.
Machinery. Earlier this week, the Indian Navy commissioned a squadron of the MH-60 helicopter. These choppers come with anti-submarine warfare capabilities. Simply put, they will be able to spot Chinese submarines.
Okay, yan po. Yan po mismo yung mga pandigma ng India ngayon na kaya daw pong magpabagsak ng mga barkong pandigma ng China.
Regardless of how deep they are hiding in the sea. India and the US have signed a deal for 24 MH-60 choppers. They will all be in India by 2025. China has clearly threatened. Beijing wishes to militarize the Indian Ocean. It has tricked countries into acquiring ports in the Indian Ocean, starting from Sri Lanka's Hambantota port to the Gwadar port in Pakistan.
Grabe, no? Itong karagatan natin ngayon, yung parang nagiging talaga ngayon, platform or parang nila mga sangkay na doon sila nakakakilos ng hindi man masasabi natin na malaya, pero kumbaga doon po nagkakaroon ng mga sigalot. Malaya po silang nakakagawa ng mga kung ano-ano na magkakos ng possible damage like war. Kung titingnan po natin yung dikit na problema ngayon ng China at Pilipinas, lalo pong lumalala. At doon din po ito sa karagatan ng South China Sea or West Philippine Sea.
China also has presence in Bangladesh's Chittagong port, in the Dorile port in Djibouti. And now, China's pulling the strings in the Maldives. On paper, it may have managed to acquire strategic locations encircling India, but who rules the waters these ports surround? Beijing's dreams of dominating the Indian Ocean have been shattered by India's formidable navy.
Grabe, no? Talagang gustong sakupin itong mga Chinese lahat na lang po ng karagatan. Kaya nga lang, malaking problema sa kanila itong India. Paano po nila tatapatan yung puwersa ng India? Dahil ang India, malakas pong bansa. Nasa top 4 ranking pagdating po sa strongest military globally.
India is now also building a naval base in the Great Nicobar. It overlooks the Strait of Malacca, the water body from which 80% of China's oil supplies pass. The power and potential of the Indian Navy has been on display in recent weeks. It has been saving ships from all forms of terror in the sea, from the Somali pirates to the Houthi rebels. India has proven itself as the hero of the high sea. So here's the thing. China can prepare for a sea war against India all it wants. It can prepare for a sea war against the US too. But does it even have a chance at victory?
Wala daw pong chance na manalo ang China pagdating po sa India, sa karagatan, dahil nga po kabisado daw po ng India ng mahabang panahon. Pambihira. So, ano ba to? Warning sa China na tumigil na lang kayo kung ayaw nyo makatikim sa India?
Look at the Chinese naval force vis-a-vis the Indian Navy and the US Navy. Some stats. The Chinese Navy has around 350 ships.
Okay, yan po.
The Indian Navy has 150. The US 280. Naval aircraft. PLA Navy a little over 700. India 400. The US over 4,000. Aircraft carriers. India and the PLA 2 each. The US 11 destroyers. PLA Navy 49. India 12. US Navy 92.
Grabe na yung Amerika, no? Apakarami, oh.
We have also put the numbers for the frigates, the corvettes, and submarines for you to see.
So pagdating sa mga submarines, mas nakakalamang ang China. Yan, ang dami. Ang India, mayroon pong 79 na submarine na sa China, 68 naman sa US. Kaya nga lang, pinag-uusapan kasi dito yung kakayahan po ng mga submarine nila.
So I ask, which side do you think is the stronger one, China or the combined navies of India and the United States?
Okay. Combine na pala ito. Kumbaga, i-combine po itong mga numero ng India at US. Well, alam niyo mga sangkay, sana po hindi humantong talaga sa digmaan nito kasi malaking problema po talaga. So, tingin nyo, ito, ibabalik ko lang sa inyo ang tanong, mga sangkay. Tingin nyo, sino ba talaga ang mas malakas dito? Itong China o itong India na bukod sa malakas sila, may kasama pang Amerika? I-comment nyo po sa ibaba yung mga opinion. Meron po ako sa YouTube channel, Sangkay Revelation. Hanapin nyo po ito sa YouTube, okay? Tapos i-click nyo po yung subscribe, i-click nyo yung bell, at click nyo po yung all. Una po yung magpapaalam, mag-iingat po ang lahat. God bless everyone.